Good afternoon, Emery. I'm
Good.
Perry Monastero, and I'm really thrilled that you've invited me to your home here in Philadelphia to chat.
Thank you. It's nice to have you here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. I'm thrilled that you've chosen to sponsor Mazzoni Center for our annual gala. It means a lot to us. It's going to be the most successful fundraiser in our 39-year history. We're almost surpassed the goal, and I just want to say thank you for your ongoing support.
Yeah, it's my absolute pleasure to donate to the Mazzoni Center. It means a lot to me, to be a part of such a great effort in the humanities.
And that's terrific. There are lots of folks like you that we come to get to know, but today I'm going to get to know you a little better than most. And I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you a few questions. One of the questions I had was, can you share with me how you first came to hear about Mazzoni Center?
Mazzoni Center in and of itself, I have some personal friends who are patients at that center, who raise money for that center, and so I've been aware of it for about probably the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh wow, so you've heard some stories.
Yes, I have.
That's
yes,
great.
I've heard some wonderful stories. I mean, of people who couldn't afford medication, and you guys afforded it to them, who needed some mental health benefits, and they were provided to them, and some food for people that actually just could not either get the food or afford the food.
Yeah, I'm pleased that in our new space now, for example, our food bank, we've been able to expand it by 25%, so we can add more clients that are low income, that need to have more access to high protein, high nutritious, healthy foods. And we are in major debt to so many folks in the community for coming to support this program. We've had Vivian's Cupboard now since 1986, and it's great to be able to expand it this past year after hitting sort of a plateau of about 1,400 families and households. We can expand it even more, which is exciting.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's great. So I'm glad to hear you know a few people that have not only benefited from Mazzoni Center, but you said that they fundraised from Mazzoni Center. So we have a set of folks that we call Mazzoni Community Champions, and it wouldn't surprise me if those folks are honored in our annual gathering we have every summer. So yeah, it's always lovely to hear these stories. Can you share with me how you came to be involved in philanthropy? I'm aware that you've got at UME, you are often supporting veterans organizations and food bank organizations. Can you share with me a little bit about how you got involved in that type of philanthropic work?
As a teenager, the first thing I can actually remember is going to Live Aid with my sister.
Not just a few blocks from here.
Exactly. And we went there, and at first we thought it was kind of a concert, and then we realized what was really behind it. And since I was a teenager, I felt compelled to do what I could in any circumstance to help someone that I would feel would need help or unable to do it. And as I've grown to an adult, before it would be my time that I would put forth in raising or collecting food and giving it to food drives. But as I've become more successful in the community, I also put my resources in it. You mentioned UME. UME is an managing general underwriter. So we write health and welfare plans. And so the reason Mazzoni Center is important to us is that you offer health and welfare to people that may not be able to have insurance. So we like to give back to the community in that instance. And so that's why we've chosen that to be one of the biggest, to be our biggest donations, for this year.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. How have you incorporated your own personal philanthropic work into your companies? I heard some things from one of your staff members on Friday, and it was impressive. I just wanted to hear how you decided to bring what you do personally for so many years into your work?
UME has grown to be quite a big company, and we employ a lot of people, and we're fortunate that we're in kind of resistant to any sort of recession insurance kind of company. So we employ a lot of people, and so on a monthly basis, we pick a charity that's important to someone in our company, and we then go throughout the community, and should it be like coats, and collect thousands of coats for the people that afford people that are underprivileged coats, and things like that. So really what it is me as the leader of a company leading by example and showing people that if you're fortunate to have a good job, that the best thing that you can do is to put into the universe to give back to other people, and therefore it helps with a trickling effect to always be there, and it teaches everyone around me that the most important thing is other people.
Well, I bet that really helps with morale with the company when you involve the staff in these enterprises.
Yes, it is good for morale because we get behind the causes of things that are important to each of us, and everyone can therefore have an opinion about it, and they can put as much effort into it as they like.
Sure.
And then when one person sees someone putting a lot of effort into something they care about,
yes.
When it comes up for their turn, and they've picked out something that they would like to go out into the community, raise dollars, raise coats, raise
Oh, so you enable staff to put forth suggestions for the company-wide support.
Yes,
That's
it is
exciting. Yeah.
Yes, my in our Mazzoni Center and Wounded Warriors, but we do so much more than that. People pick it out on a monthly basis.
Terrific.
And it's not always just putting money into it. We actually put our time and effort into it.
So maybe that's also how your company got to be ranked as a top place to work in the greater Philadelphia area. Is that true? You got an award for that?
Yes, you got me as the number 2 medium size employer.
Okay.
Yes, we're number 2
right.
in the medium size employer group.
Terrific.
So we were really happy to have won that. And I think that really speaks to the employees, because that's definitely an employee-driven award. They had to all fill out, I guess, some sort of questionnaires, and it was determined based on the answers to those questionnaires. So I think that leading a company by example and always giving back to the community and knowing that we sell healthcare and that we enjoy doing it, but it's beyond that. Just every day working for the best for everyone around you is kind of our whole philosophy.
So you said you have a lot of younger people working at your company, and how big is it now?
Our company, UME, is probably about 50 people, and we're in multiple locations. And I would say that the median age there is probably in the 40s. So, showing young people that it's great to have a great job, but you don't want to go off onto a different path. You want to make sure that you take that job and that you make more out of it. And it's who you are, within that counts more than what you're getting paid.
I appreciate that you mentioned to me some other time when we were chatting, you've had relationships with LGBTQ people, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer people, throughout your life. Can you talk with me a little bit about how you first came to be aware of the community as a whole?
A very dear personal friend of mine and our chief operating officer is a gay man. And I've known him since he was 9. And
It's quite a long time, I guess.
Quite a long
without
time.
giving away his age.
Yeah, he's, I would say, in his mid-30s now.
Okay, wow, there you go.
And when he was younger, he was a joy to be around. My children, all 2 of them at that point, I have 5 now, but 2 of them were smaller then, enjoyed his love of life, and so did I. And so I kept in touch with him throughout his life. And an opportunity came for me to be able to hire him. And with that, he made me very aware of the struggles that people go through in that community. And I felt, I felt compassion for it. And I felt that if someone who didn't have those struggles could jump in there and become part of it, other people who weren't having those struggles would see that and see that compassion, and they also would start to, realize that if we were all part of an outreach where people had somewhere to go and people to support them other than their own community, it would give us a step forward as people for gay rights and all the rights of all people.
Wow, speaking about gay rights, you've been witness to the marriage laws being passed in Pennsylvania in 2014, but as you may or may not already be aware, we are still in a state where people can get fired simply because of their identity, their sexual identity or gender identity. And your company is based in a community that still does not have those protections. So by supporting Mazzoni Center, we have free legal services. There are people from all over the state who can take advantage of what we provide to low-income folks who are experiencing discrimination in housing, at work, or through any other place that they have equal access or should have equal access, including healthcare. Right. Some people are turned away from healthcare simply because of who they are. And it's terrific that you've had a chance to get to know not just your chief operating officer, but other folks, so you could get to know more about what are some of the challenges, and certainly something that I appreciate. Can you share with me, what do you think people say they enjoy about working for your company?
I would say me.
Yeah?
Yes, because I'm super fun. And
well, I can see that. I can believe that.
I would say that it's, because in this day and age where someone like me realizes that the younger generation wants to be more mobile, and I consider myself part of the older generation, is much more set in their ways, like trying to find an equal balance between the two of them. And also because there is no discrimination at our work. Like, everyone is treated equally, and there aren't the problems that the Mazzoni Center helps people defend going on there, that they feel free to come to a place where they can enjoy working, get their work done, and live their lives.
Yeah, people want to bring their best self to work, regardless of their orientation or gender identity. I think that's what most people want.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm a big believer that that's what most people should have. All people should have.
Right. And in thinking of the future, and 5-10 years down the road, what are some things you want for your company that you're struggling or you're striving to bring at this point that you see as in your future?
Well, I think, one that we spoke to is the portability, but also I believe that in the future, what we want to do as a healthcare organization is make sure that all people have access to it.
I would like to turn the conversation a little bit to talking about some of the things you do for fun, whether you're doing fun things at work or you're doing fun things outside of your job. What do you do for fun?
You're gonna love this. So for fun, I do a lot of traveling. I like to travel with my family.
What's your favorite place to go?
In the United States, the most beautiful place I would find to go would be Jackson Hole.
Oh,
I've only been there once, but when you get off a plane, you'll never see anywhere like it in the United States. And outside the United States, I would definitely say New Zealand.
Well, that's on my bucket list.
Is it?
It is, yes.
The North and the South Island are beautiful, and you can drive them if you have the time, 10, 12 days, and that's absolutely beautiful. But my favorite place of all time is home.
At home?
Home.
Home is where the heart is.
Yep. Home is where all my children can show up, and that's where I like to be the most, where they are.
What is it that you do when they all get together?
Mostly feed them.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite things to do. I'm Italian. That's what we do.
See? Yeah. I only cook for people I love, which include a very small group of people, and that's them. And I don't tell anybody this, but I am a good cook. And so when I see them, I feed them. And I also am a big believer in church. and things like that. So if they see me on a Sunday, they are getting, not so much anymore as they gotten older, but they're getting drugged to church. So that's actually, I would say, my two favorite things. And my third would be work, because work is where my heart is. I sell insurance, and I get to be successful at doing that, and I get to give back to the community, and I truly love doing that.
It's clear to me from talking to you before I even sat down in this chair that you really enjoy what you do. What's something that people who work with you every day, I mean, they probably already know that you love what you do and that you support them, but what is something that they don't know about you, do you think?
Why?
That's something you'd want them to know, but you don't think they know.
That I'm okay with losing sometimes. That I feel that there's a lot of value in a loss, whether it's a deal, whether it's a case or an argument. I feel like that most people think I want to win everything because I'm a CEO. I am,
How
a
competitive
leader.
are you?
Super competitive.
Okay.
I love the art of the deal, but I'm okay with losing the deal because there's a lot to be learned in the stuff that's lost, and I do believe that most people don't recognize that in me, or that I want them to also lose sometimes, so that once you get through what you're scared of, I mean, whatever you fear the most, in my opinion, is if you get through it, on the other side, you're a better person, and it changes you, and it makes you do things differently.
I think it's great to have failures, and I can say this intellectually. It's not fun going through them at the time. It's awful. You feel like you're just a loser, or at least that's just my experience.
Yeah,
and
mine
then later,
too.
I feel like I can grow from them, and to have a workplace where that's okay, and it's not just, shamed, but there's a way to encourage people to think about how they can learn from their mistakes, or any number of mistakes, or maybe they're not mistakes, they are not the ideal situation. It wasn't the win that we wanted.
Right, and I tell people
can learn
that.
from that.
I tell that people that. You feel that shame, you don't want to feel it again, don't do it again. Like, that's one of the things, that, I tell people, like, I know what it feels like to feel shame. I get that, and once you do it, if you continue to do it, then that's your choice. You know what I mean? But, like, everyone makes a mistake the first time, Try not to, get upset over the small stuff or the big stuff. Because, if God gets you to it, He will get you through it.
So when you're in a room or an elevator with someone you've never met before, and they have no idea what it is that you do, what is your elevator pitch? What do you say in 30 seconds or 20 seconds?
Well, mostly probably lingerie, third floor, to get them to smile or laugh at.
You're giving me a Rocky Horror reference.
I am. It's lingerie, third floor. I mostly greet people with a smile and an open, welcoming thing. And if I get, if I don't get a reception to that, they may not want to be bothered. But if they do, I will, say hello, how are you, where are you doing in the city, or where are you going, or, I compliment or notice something about them, so they realize that I recognize them as a person, and that, I'm just this person on an elevator who, in this next 10 seconds, actually, cares about your well-being.
That's terrific. That's awesome.
It's all true, too.
It is. It's all true.
It's all true, too.